In this video, we're going to look at the price movement of Bitcoin because yes, we came all the way up into this major resistance zone that we have been talking about, and we can also see on the weekly chart we have formed this doji candle. So we could expect this retracement, but we're going to look at the retracement levels, and we're also going to find out which bubble is about to explode. Is it the dollar, Bitcoin, or even the altcoins? We're going to find out even more in today's video, but most importantly guys, if you want to find out more, watch the video until the end, smash up the like button and subscribe, and welcome back to B4 Crypto. Yes, at the moment we are seeing that Bitcoin is moving sideways on the weekly chart and that this looks extremely bearish at the moment. This looks like that we could come all the way back down to the first major important level, and yes, this is going to be the 61.8 exactly here, because this was previous resistance exactly here where the price movement came all the way up to the 61.8 where we got the approval of the spot Bitcoin ETF exactly here, and now we saw this retracement all the way back down to this very important trend line. But most importantly guys, if we zoom out even further, we can see that in the bull market this was major resistance here just before we got this major dump towards the downside, and we can also see it was support exactly here and also here. So this level is going to be extremely important, the 61.8. So I could expect that we're going to come all the way back down to the 61.8, which is exactly at the level of $48,900. And yes, this is going to be close to the $50,000 level. But guys, we need to go on the even lower time frames to find out what we could expect in the immediate short term. Because yes, on the daily chart, this green line is exactly the 61.8, and look how perfectly it lines up with previous resistance exactly here and also here where the price movement broke towards the upside, and we even saw a retest exactly here, and the price movement saw this consolidation and came all the way up to our next major level, which is round about the levels of $52,900. But ultimately guys, if we're going to zoom in on the daily chart, then we can see that we are forming this perfect symmetrical triangle exactly here, and once again we can see that the price movement of Bitcoin is forming lower lows, and we can also see exactly here we got this major rejection over the weekend. But yes, this is still extremely bullish that we are still above the 13 moving average exactly here where the price movement closed this candle. So ultimately guys, we could expect that we're going to see some consolidation within the symmetrical triangle, and a symmetrical triangle is a neutral pattern. It could break out towards the upside or even towards the downside, and the price target is going to be the width of the symmetrical triangle exactly here. So if we're going to see this break of the 13 moving average and also this trend line exactly here at the levels of $50,700, we could expect this dump towards the downside exactly all the way down to this very important support, which was previous resistance exactly here. And this would also perfectly line up with the 61.8 Fibonacci retracement level from the weekly chart exactly here. So ultimately guys, this would be a great consolidation area exactly above this major resistance that we could break during the halving or just before the halving, with the next major price target close to the all-time high. So ultimately this is going to be extremely important if we're going to see this bullish breakout, that Bitcoin needs to break this trend line towards the upside, because then we could expect the price target, if we're going to take the measured move all the way to the potential breakout point of this major trend line, we could expect that the next price target for Bitcoin is going to be the 54,899. So close to the $55,000 level, exactly what I also predicted within this major resistance box, and this next major resistance, which is exactly at the levels of $55,700. Because if we go back over to the weekly chart, this is exactly here where we got a lot of traffic during the first peak of the bull market, and at the second peak exactly here we can see that it was previous resistance exactly in these levels and also support exactly here. So this is going to be the next major range for Bitcoin before we're going to break the previous all-time high. So ultimately, if we go back on the daily chart, I expect that Bitcoin is going to consolidate within this major zone above the 61.8 and all the way up to the $55,000 range, that we're going to see that Bitcoin is going to move within this range. And yes, these are going to be our indications if we're going to get this bullish or even this bearish breakout. If we're going to break this trend line towards the upside, we could expect this bullish move even higher. But if we're going to see the break of the 13 moving average and this trend line, we could expect this dump all the way back down to the 61.8. But guys, we could also expect this fake out exactly here where we have got a lot of volume and the 50,000 US dollars is going to be a psychological level. So yes, we could expect this fake out and this breakout towards the upside, because yes, this is Bitcoin. So let's go down on the even lower time frames on the 4-hour chart. Because yes, in my previous video I told you if we're going to break this major support box exactly here, we could expect this dump towards the downside, but we perfectly bounced off exactly from these levels and we saw this pump all the way up, forming this downward sloping trend. So ultimately guys, if we're going to break this trend towards the upside and come back above the 61.8, which is exactly here, I could expect that we're going to come all the way back up to the range high. And ultimately, if we're going to break the range high, we have looked at the price target. But guys, why could we expect this bullish move for Bitcoin? And why is it not the time to be bearish or to short Bitcoin or to wait for any major retracements? Yes, we're going to go over to this news, which is extremely bullish and which should be a driving factor why you should buy Bitcoin exactly now. And if you want to buy all of these cryptocurrencies, guys, go down in the video description below where you receive a major deposit bonus if you sign up using my links. So let's go over to this bullish news. And we're going to look at the speech from the president of El Salvador, Nayib Bukele. El Salvador made Bitcoin legal tender, so let's listen what he has to say.
The real problem is that you pay high taxes only to uphold the illusion that you are funding the government, which you are not. It's shocking, but it's true. The government is funded by money printing. Paper backed with paper. A bubble that will inevitably burst. The situation is even worse than it seems, because if most Americans and the rest of the world were to become aware of this farce, confidence in your currency would be lost, the dollar would fall, and the Western civilization with it. If the next president of the United States doesn't make the necessary policies and structural changes, sooner or later that bubble will burst. There's still time. You don't have to make the same mistakes we did in the 60s and the 70s. You can still jump before the water boils. Winning the election isn't enough to solve these problems. They will not simply go away as a consequence of an electoral result. It would take a total re-engineering of the government, top to bottom. It will entail making difficult decisions, like the ones we made in El Salvador since 2019, and they're already paying off. It will be hard. The system will push back. But you have the right to determine your own fate.
Yes, and you should also determine your own fate by buying Bitcoin exactly now, because this is going to be the money of the future, like in El Salvador. Because if we go over to the dollar currency index, I told you that exactly here we're going to see this major retracement from this major resistance exactly here, and exactly that happened. We actually placed this magnet exactly here to pull the dollar down, because if we go on the monthly chart of the dollar currency index, or even on the 3-month chart, and we're going to zoom out guys, you're going to see the big picture, what is going to happen with any fiat currencies. The trend is your friend until the end, and the trend is going to be down. So yes, this is fiat currency and the US dollar, and if we go over to Bitcoin on the weekly chart, then we can see the total opposite. Yes, Bitcoin is deflationary and we're going to see this major pump towards the upside, because yes, history is clear. We are seeing that each and every time we are having the Bitcoin halvening exactly here, and also here, we are seeing this parabolic run towards the upside. And guys, you're still extremely early. You're still here before all the retail investors and all the major FOMO is going to start. So dollar cost average into Bitcoin. And yes, not just only into Bitcoin, also into altcoins. Because yes, if we're going to go over to ETH versus Bitcoin, then we can see that Ethereum versus Bitcoin is going up. And this means that we could expect a major altcoin season, because yes, Ethereum and all the altcoins are outperforming Bitcoin. And if we go over to the Bitcoin dominance, which gives us the indication how much percentage from the overall crypto market is invested in Bitcoin or into altcoins, then we can see that the Bitcoin dominance is around about 52%. So 52% of the overall crypto market is invested in Bitcoin. But if we're going to see this dump towards the downside, exactly like I told you here, that we are forming this triple top, that we could expect this major push for the altcoins. And let's go over to GRT so that you get the major picture. Yes, we already saw this major pump towards the upside. upside. The first time I talked about GRT on my channel was exactly here, where we broke out from this trend, and congratulations, if you took this trade, you would have been up 228%. But guys, the next major level is going to be the 23.6. If we're going to see that the Bitcoin dominance is going to drop, and that we're going to see that the overall crypto market and all the altcoins are going to outperform Bitcoin, so we're going to see this major pump all the way to the first price target of 147% and to the next major level, which is going to be the 61.8. So 61.8% from the previous high all the way to the bottom. This would be our conservative price target and the price target that we could reach in the immediate short term. But ultimately, guys, our first price target, if we're going to break the previous all-time high within the bull market, is going to be the 1.618 Fibonacci retracement level, and this would be a pump of 1,500%. But the ultimate price target for GRT within the bull market is going to be the 2.618, and yes, you would make 2,400%. So yes, guys, we already had this major pump towards the upside, so don't wait for any retracement, just dollar cost average, because we still have this major pump which is coming to the overall crypto market and also for Bitcoin, and these are going to be the important levels in the immediate short term that are going to give us the indication, are we going to get a bullish or even a bearish move? And guys, if you want to find out more about cryptocurrencies, make sure to subscribe, smash up the like button, but most importantly, be for crypto, and we see each other in the next video.